Hi, I'm Rob, and I'd like to make this video. I've got a client who asked for a loaded pickguard with my hand-wound pickups, and as you see, it's going to have a lot of wiring options, and it's got these push-pull pots right here. And his guitar is like this one down here, which is a Squire Stratocaster. It's either an Infinity or a Bullet, and when I was making this, I noticed that the Squires were not routed to a depth that would accommodate these push-pull pots. So what I thought I'd do is shoot a quick video for him and for you of how to do this safely and just accommodate enough room for these push-pull pots. And yep, that's what this video is about. Okay, so you can see here that I took apart my entire Infinity guitar. And what I did is, before I did that, I did a lot of measuring. So I measured the depth of the bridge plate and the depth of the spring claw in the back. And if you notice, I took everything off because I don't want to have anything clunking around or ruining the finish. As you can see, I've masked the finish where I don't want any Mars. Routers tend to jump and skip. I'm using a Dremel router, but you can use a normal router for this. I like this because there's a lot of control you can get in tight. This is available in any Home Depot, Lowe's, box store. And basically, again, this came out to be 3 millimeters off the deck for the bridge plate. And by the way, I like to work in millimeters because I think I can get more precise and I think linear in that when I do this type of stuff. And the claw plate for me was decked, as you can see, at a 7 millimeter. So I'm all ready to go. This pocket, I don't know if you can see it, that was the normal route, is 35 millimeters. I need a depth of 30. I figured 3 over, so I'm going to go 33 right in this area that you see here that will accommodate the push-pull pots that I have. I don't want to go to the full 35 because it's very close to the back end of the guitar, and that's where you can get into trouble cracking your finish and things like that. So you do need a little wiggle room past what the depth is of the push-pull pots, but don't go too far. You can always take more later. The next thing I'm going to do is I'll show you that the basic starting depth is about 20 millimeters. Can you get a close-up of that? So basically, we got to take another 13 off. The way I like to do that is to start in little bits. As you can see, there's probably about 5 millimeters or so depth set for this. And this will keep my router bit from burning out and getting too hot and taking too much at a time. I'm going to take little bits. I'm going to do one swath. If you can see on the guitar that I've created a little path that I know it's going to clear. And I'm just going to follow the normal route here of the guitar and then cut it off there, saving as much wood that was there to begin with and only taking out what I need. So that's what I'm going to do. And the last thing I'm going to show you, because I'm not going to show you the whole process of me boringly routing this guitar out. I'll show you what's finished and basically how to start a route. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut along my trace. And what that does is it's going to keep the paint from splintering and chipping. And you'd be surprised sometimes how much paint can chip, and then next thing you know, you're out on your finish and you've got a big ding or a gouge or whatever, and you don't want it. So what you do is, this is called scoring. You're going to take it along the paint and along your line a couple times using the edge of the knife, not so much the point of the knife, to score it. So again, I'm going to come across, and what that'll do, if the paint's got a tendency to fly or chip or pull, it's only going to go right up to the score and leave this area and these areas intact. Okay. So a couple times through, just to get through the surface of the paint. Give it a weak point that it'll chip off at that area. Okay. And so I'm wearing safety goggles. These are actually 2x lenses. Keep the splinters from going in my face. What you do is a router, you want to do a high speed on the router or higher speed, but watch your speed because faster it goes, the more propensity it has to skip and jump. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this in, set the depth, and then push it in at the right angle. Get a little deeper here. Now I'm going to start over in the other pocket, like I said, just a couple millimeters down, just about 5, so I can get started on this. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to notice it doesn't want to sit flush. You're going to put it in at an angle in the middle in case it skips and jumps, and then start taking bits and pieces of it off. So as you can see here, I got down to 33 millimeters from the surface of this. Fit perfectly. What didn't fit was my pickup studs here. My screws were a little bit long. So the trick I have is you put the pickup on, you snip it with a good pair of dikes here, down to kind of the size you want. And that way when you reverse it out of the pickup, it'll gain the thread on the area that kind of got marred by the dikes, versus trying to rethread it. And now you can see this fits perfectly into the cavity. And as you can see, I took minimal out. I did move on to this handheld router because I needed more depth. Always pull the plug when you're working on it and resetting it. And I also used a set of earmuffs so that I won't go deaf any more than I am from being a musician. So that's it. That's how you do this.